The teachers. Why the fuck is the monk guy teaching this? So time. He just like turn the music down slightly. JK, I would see this here. Welcome to Teaching 101. Bam. Man, I did not bother putting animations in this, huh? Anyways, why one? How to be a teacher? Everybody is a teacher in some form. Think about it. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what it says. If you exist, you teach in some form. Like, if you walk down the road and you trip, you get yourself back up and you start walking again, you just tell yourself that, you know, that part of the road stripped green. Like, if you strip on, like, your own, like, you just lose your own balance and you get back up, you tell yourself how to not, you know, be a dumbass. It's that simple. College is also a lot of teaching yourself, just in general. Because a lot of professors aren't always going to be the best. Sometimes they're like PhD students. Sometimes they just don't know what they're doing. You know? And like, if you have a parent, yeah, if you're really teaching someone how to exist, babies are fucking stupid. Academia is too formal and is a little bitch. I will get on that point later. I find it greatly funny if the monk VTuber can teach guys how to be formal. If monk VTuber can teach guys how to teach. I find it greatly funny. Purely because it's a bunch like a high academia. And kind of just like demystifies it. I'll get in my issues like academia and all that stuff later, but for now, this is the important stuff on why we should even be wanting this. Next slide. And also, if you can teach something, then you know it completely. If suddenly you start trying to teach something, you understand just how much you actually know about a subject. The actual quote is, you can't explain something, probably, you can read. Okay. But also, if you can teach a subject, then when you try to teach a subject, I mean, it kind of highlights everything you don't actually know about that subject. Which you can only really see in when you try to explain it to somebody. I think about it, like, if you, like, played the entirety of Metal Gear Solid, like, all, like, 8 games, and you tried explaining the plot to somebody, you would quickly understand you do not actually know the plot of Metal Gear Solid. But you wouldn't know until you start trying to explain it to somebody. So yeah, teaching is also a good way to figure out if you actually know something or not. So yeah. No, but seriously, why the fuck are you teaching this? That is a good question. Slides. So, currently studying for my bachelor's degree in education. Woo. I've been studying for the last 2 years. I have a vague teaching experience in D&D Club and other VTuber forensics. And also, I find it greatly funny. I don't like the idea of, you know, mystifying teachers. I think everyone should learn how to be a teacher in some form, and yeah, this info is kind of difficult to get outside of Google. And I am not my own. I'm not my own ally today. Jeez. Let's probably do like some disclaimer stuff real fast. I am not a teacher. I am not an educational professional or a specialist. If anything I say here gets you fired from your teaching job, do not blame me. Hurricane VT and Hurricane Industries cannot be legally held responsible for your own actions. Anyways, moving on. Basic teaching. What is teaching? Figuratively speaking, the actual definition is not an answer here. The answer is something like given information of the intention of a person remembering it and being able to use it in the future. I gave this here because it levels like the playing field. So like when I say teaching, I mean something around here. Not like this definition when I say teaching. But it's like it's a good definition. It's like it gets all like the broad points. It's like it makes sure like we're on the same page when I say teach and teaching and all that. Also adds the actual definition. Yeah, like give some instruction professoring, give information about instruction in, cause someone to accept something. Cause what? Cause to learn or understand something. Yeah. It's not that deep, bro. So next slide, basic teaching. This entire point is just, again, I've won the playing field. When I say teaching, this is what I mean. The actual definition's important, but like, it's up to you. So, moving on. Why should we even know the definition of teaching? Okay. You want someone to remember something, you have to basically make them a reason to. You look back at the previous definition, the intent of a person remembering it, being able to use it in the future. For instance, if I throw a bunch of this random bullshit at you, you probably won't remember much. Freezing something a few times is private. How many buds are going buds that can fly backward? Crocodiles not stick their tongue out. So, starfish do not have a brain. Sharks have 4 noses. Only a few more mosquitoes bite. Polar bear skin is bright. The only mammal capable of flight is the bat. And new bit on kangaroos, the size of a lima bean. Makes me remember. You must give them motivation. A reason. Motivation. There's a lot of theories for motivation. We care about the intrinsic and extrinsic model motivation, aka every amateur educational psychologist's favorite model. There's a couple other models here, but they don't really apply fully. That's why we focus on extrinsic and intrinsic. Like drive reduction theory, that won't really mean much unless you're like starving the students. And like Maslow's pyramid of needs, like that's not gonna do much unless you're like again starving the students. And you like, if you answer these 5 questions, I'll give you food. Like that's not gonna work. Oh, so that's extrinsic motivation. So yeah, extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. I will get into them. Just there are 2 wolves inside you. If you do an action, it is either one of those wolves or a good amount of both of those wolves guide in that action. I will get into it just later, into a deeper side, most likely. So, moving on. What is that extrinsic thing you're talking about? The black wolf. Ooh, extrinsic motivation. Hey brain, what's up? Extrinsic motivation. Motivated to do an action by extrinsic rewards. External rewards. Basically, anything that happens outside of your body that you do not have control over. So, like, for instance, some of its motivators include, but not limited to, cash, friendship, avoiding punishment, seeking rewards. I'm talking about listening. Got you. Appreciate it. As long as you can do it for the sake of something outside of your own body and like your own like deep drive, then it's an extrinsic motivation. A lot of human desires want an extrinsic motivation. The entirety of the third manga Maslow's pyramid, second manga Maslow's pyramid, runs on like extrinsic motivation. It's not always a bad thing. Counter to most amateur educational psychologists. If I see one motherfucker saying, "Oh my god," you don't want to use that extrinsic motivation, they don't know what they're talking about. So, the other wolf, intrinsic motivation, the white wolf. It basically means you want to do something eternally. Basically, if you do something for the sake of doing it. So, some examples include passion, pride, hunger, nationalism, boredom, drive for fulfillment, drive for violence, and more. My deep insatiable lust for thy mother. It's not always good, because like a lot of bad stuff comes out of intrinsic motivation. For instance, like nationalism, like that's not exactly a good thing, but it's from inside you. So it's intrinsic. But in the long run, intrinsic motivation will always like outstrength extrinsic motivation, but extrinsic motivation will always be stronger in the short term. For example, you were about to do the dishes until somebody from the other room says, "Oh great, can you do the dishes?" And now you don't want to. You left your room, dishes in hand, but because that extrinsic motivation is now there, you really don't feel like it. That's going to be a different effect later on as well, but it's also intrinsic motivation. It's about how to consistently maintain, because it's inside you. You can't give yourself anything for intrinsic motivation. It has to come from your own mind, basically. So, moving on. What if I want to use extrinsic motivation? God, crash himself. It's not a good idea generally because there's 2 main reasons. Firstly, overjustification effect. That's a very complicated definition. I'm gonna put it simply. You know how like when you like make art for the sake of making art, there tends to be like a different feeling associated to it than when you make art for the sake of making money. Because that's the overjustification effect. Because like when we have the money on the line. That's an extrinsic motivation. So it tends to like level out with the intrinsic. When the extrinsic is gone, well, the intrinsic's lowered now because that extrinsic motivator is no longer there to, you know, provide supply. It's like, it's kind of like, what's the point of this? And it's like, do I really have the passion anymore? That type of stuff. Because, you know, it's no longer an act of passion, it's an act for, like, you know, food, money, friendship, you know, that stuff. And also, extrinsic motivation cannot be sustained outside of the classroom. Well, technically speaking, it can't. Technically speaking, it can, but like practically speaking, it cannot be maintained. Because most teachers use extrinsic motivation in two ways. They use it with either grades or they physically hand stuff out. Now, technically speaking, online assignments allows them to use it for like when you're at home, but most people don't bother with that type of stuff. I'll scan stay if wanted. I will touch on that later. If I see people are interested or I feel like it, I can go over it real fast, but I'll do that at the end. But yeah, grades, a big one. Attendance policy is an example of teachers using extrinsic motivation to motivate behavior. Treats. College, you're not really getting candy thrown at you, but in high school it was common for teachers just grab like a bunch of candy and chuck it at your face the second you answer the question correctly. I got a lot of candy in high school. So yeah. Next one. That's cool and all. But how do I use it? By it, I mean intrinsic motivation. It's not to have the students be motivated themselves to learn. This is achieved with a lot of different like ideas, processes, but basically it's giving them a reason to even care about what you're teaching to begin with. Think about it. If that one friend of yours is rambling to you about for 30 minutes about Broomlock Archive, you're not going to really pay attention because you don't really have a reason to care outside of them being your friend. Like, you will find it interesting on a level, but like, you can't get that attachment. But like, you can either basically just give them a reason to care by either not losing their attention and just having them give you this to begin with. So, some common tactics. Be engaging, make them want to pay attention, and just basically place it in reality. Make it so they have something, you know, to care about. Base it off of. Why do you think I've given so many examples of what teachers do the entire time? What do you think this example is? It's attaching it back to reality. Because now that you know that that's why they do the things, you now have a reason to care. Because it's now in front of you instead of just in your mind in some theoretical concept. And then being engaging. Woo! You're engaged? So, teaching has a lot in common with streaming, funnily enough. That's really in terms of engagement. Because the thing is, a streamer is not that far from a teacher, in the grand scheme of things. They both want to reach an audience and keep them engaged while they send a message out. So a lot of tips that work for streaming also work for teaching, funnily enough. But yeah, why engagement is important. If the professor is engaging, you're gonna like browse your phone, do literally anything else. Like, sometimes it's just a bad day for the students, other times it's just because you're not engaging. Like, it's about like consistency in the students here, not like one-time occurrences. So, common ways to boost engagement. Own at the floor. It's your classroom, project by voice, be funny, be self-assured, be passionate. These all work for dating. Just finding you know. So, let me just real fast, like, go over these real fast, because, like, a lot of them are self-explanatory. But owning the floor, basically, this is stage presence. If you know theater, you know owning the floor. Basically, like, walk around, have an open body, don't be afraid of the students. Like, when you're cowering behind, like, a laptop, you can't be loud. Like, it makes it seem like you're on, it's like an more like just a laptop at that point. Like, you're just the computer. Like, the teacher isn't present, the computer's here, okay? Projecting thy voice. It's hard to be engaged if you can't actually hear what the professor's saying. Projection's easy. I mean, we'll first give you a guide. Kane's Guide to Projection Your Own Voice. Firstly, find where your voice is located. Most people, it is in, like, Imagine a ball in like the back of your throat, right? Like the back of your head. Now move the ball down and out into your chest. You will find that your voice has now gotten a lot louder and it's a lot easier to speak this way because it's projected. That is how you project. Just like imagine the ball, move it down and out. And be passionate, know what you're talking about, be self-assured, know the content material, and try to be funny. Yeah. Well, I'm just a little guy who's shy. The best way to be confident. I know what you're thinking. This is turned to a seminar. I don't... Yeah, but... Best way not to be confident is to fake it until you make it. It sounds like bad advice, but like no one wakes up and goes, I'm gonna yell at minors. No one does that. It'll be tough at first. Like, you're gonna think like, oh my god, they know I'm faking it. They know I don't actually know myself. But you do. You're not faking it. You're just putting the right amount of confidence to your knowledge level. Imposter syndrome is your bitch. Make it yours. As long as you put the effort in like into teaching, like actually preparing, you'll find that the confidence kind of just comes to you a bit. And you don't really need to fake it anymore. Anyway, so the children smoke fear, just don't be scared more. Next one. Well, that'd be funny. I'm a teacher. Why teachers have to be funny? At least somewhat engaging. Humor humanizes the teacher. Cause I said this a bit earlier in the slides. Academia is a little bitch. It mystifies teachers, makes them as like some unbreakable figure of authority, holier than the students. We have 4 years of college. We are better than you. But that doesn't work for if you actually want to teach, because it makes you unapproachable. Like, the students can't actually ask you questions if you don't try to be funny and put the effort in, you know, to humanize yourself. Because basically, students are afraid of being wrong in front of the figure of authority, but not in front of the guy who's making your mom jokes, okay? Why do you think banter is so important in like a teacher-student relation? Because like most teachers that I remember and that I actually wanted to learn from, I had a banter type relationship with them. The teachers that I haven't learned much from, but I vaguely dislike, are the ones that don't do that banter. They instead just act like they're better than the students to begin with. So yeah, Stal, I'm taking your English comp. This is important. The rhetorical triangle. So, welcome to English comp 102. So, all 3 points interact with each other. Change one aspect of the triangle. The other points change. The author and the purpose of a relationship, and the author and the audience have a relationship. Replace author of teacher in this instance, and will make sense. So first, let me just real fast get this dealt. Let me just real fast explain each of these points. Did I do that in the latest slide? Yeah, okay, whatever. I'll just explain it real fast. Author, yeah, it's you. You're the teacher. The audience, your students. Your purpose is to teach. The student's purpose is to learn. And your relationship from the teacher to the student is, a teacher-student relationship, and the message you are trying to send is the content you're trying to teach. Congratulations, now understand the rhetorical triangle. Get out of my class. So, what does this have to do with teaching? Teaching's a type of oration. Basically, fancy type of speech. Whenever you have to lecture, whenever you have to teach, you are using your speaking skills. You are trying to send a message to the audience. So know your audience, honestly. I don't know why the image got cropped. Whatever. Know your audience. Don't talk down to them. Have them interact with you as much as possible. Your purpose is education, but also engagement here. Okay, with pragmatics of being a teacher, aka how to actually do your job. This is gonna get very practical very quickly, just in case I was getting too theoretical for your bitch ass. Slide creation. PowerPoints are useful. But whatever you do, don't have all the info you know on the PowerPoint. It makes students very stressed. It makes it like, oh god, what do I actually write down for this? Oh no, oh fuck. One of the main points of what you're trying to say. Because no one wants to read that giant ass block of text from the textbook. I will still do it. I'm just gonna be annoyed. I'm like, what the fuck does that why? That's because I'm a nod. But everyone else is gonna be tapped out the second they see it. And for the love of God, put in your mods. If you call communication the means of decoding and encoding messages over a channel, no one's gonna know that. You gotta generalize it. You gotta put it on the level the students understand, okay? Listen, you see that dead monkey photo? I need to move my model. Give me a sec. Listen, you see that monkey photo behind me? That will be your students. If you don't fucking generalize it, they can read it, because they don't want to. Next one. Woo! Man, discussion questions. They seem useful. It's an engagement bait. No one likes discussion questions because they kind of force the students to engage. Think back to intrinsic and extrinsic motivation, okay? So if a student wants to ask a question, 9 times out of 10, it's because they have that intrinsic drive to know. So discussion questions, however, are entirely extrinsic. Because it is you asking them to answer, basically. See the whole dishes example as well. It's like, oh hey, can you do the dishes? If you're already about to do them, you don't want to do them. If you're already about to ask a question, but you see discussion questions that you're not gonna want to answer them because you have a question yourself you want to ask. It also kill pacing because nobody cares for discussion. No one really wants to answer them unless there's like some bomb ass discussion questions. Questions should come up naturally if you want them to ask a certain question. Like for instance, in calculus, you want like a derive, like a certain like formula, equation. You want to show how you got there. You can either condition it by basically just like guiding them into asking the questions themselves, or you can just explain what it is you want to achieve. Like for instance, you want to explain how like you derived, like I don't fucking know, the whole, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Like derive the quadratic formula or some shit. I don't know, man. You tell me. You gotta just do it. Ask yourself the question. Like, I know what you're probably thinking. Like, how did we get here? Like, stuff like that. Don't try and force engagement if it won't happen, you know? So, to prove my point, what makes hummingbirds unique? What are the 2 types of motivation? Which one should you try and use for teaching? What are some common strategies to be engaging? You see, no one. They killed the pacing. Okay, I'm moving on. Moving on. Important things to remember. If there's anything to take away from this like entire presentation, it's this slide here. Okay. Ooh, there's no such thing as a constant in teaching. Intrinsic motivation is better, but extrinsic can also work up perfectly fine. Had a teacher one day that came up with a Nintendo Switch. Every single time we answered the question correctly, we'd play Mario Kart for like a solid 15 minutes. Like that was good, even if it was like extrinsic motivation. Because it's all just theory. And the drive to actually learn came from within at that point. That was just for fun. Like, if you find tweets when you want to work with the students, they get them hyped up, they get them, like, you know, engaged and excited to learn. Use some. Just don't want to become a crutch, basically. And good teaching and good teachers can only be measured by 2 real things. How well the students know the content and how engaged the students are at any given point in time. As long as those two conditions are being fulfilled, you're a good teacher. So like, you get the boys like, oh my god, well, I'm not doing enough. Oh my god, I'm a fraud thing now. Oh my god, I suck. No! The students are the content you are supposed to teach them, and they are engaged. That makes you a good teacher. Don't listen to that little voice in the back of your head. Finally, knowing the principles are good and all, but you need to know how to apply the principles more than anything else. That is why I didn't go over like anything that isn't immediately applicable to actually teaching. Because technically speaking, you can use other like aspects of educational psychology in education. Shocking, I know. But if you know too much, you will start getting confused and you'll start trying to do ineffective tactics. Think about like a dog, okay? This is gonna get weird. But okay, I'm just going, most importantly, enjoy what you, okay, I'm gonna move on real fast. Enjoy what you do. Teaching is a thankless job most of the time, and you get paid criminally low. But people teach because it is what they want to do. Enjoy the material, enjoy the subject, enjoy the students, enjoy teaching. You'll find it's a lot easier if you can manage to do that. You'll find that you'll be a good teacher as long as you can manage, you know, like those last 3 points. Just have fun, enjoy, because a teacher that's having fun is a teacher students want to watch. And if the students are having fun, you're gonna be having fun. Well, not always. But like, if the students are having fun because of you having fun, then they're gonna be wanting the material on the subject a lot better than if it's just a dry class going, okay, everyone. So, math. Why is math my only example? So, English comp, right? What you want to do to decide an MMA format. You see, like, just enjoy it. Have fun. Kill a man. Don't actually kill a man. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will do more of these in the near future about specific topics that will be determined.